A couple months ago, I reviewed a laptop called the MSI PS63 Modern, and one of the reasons that I liked it so much was because of its hardware configuration. It was a 15-inch laptop with an Ultrabook CPU, it was a quad-core i5 with a GTX 1650, and because it wasn't running the more power-hungry 6-core CPUs, it was able to achieve, on average, about 10 to 12 hours of battery life, was powerful enough for some light 4K video editing and 1080p gaming, while weighing as much as a 13-inch MacBook Pro, 3.5 pounds. This is another laptop that kind of does the same thing. It's a 15-inch thin and light with a dedicated GPU with more than a full day of battery life. However, there are a couple of big differences that sets them apart, and the first of them is the build quality. The Zenbook is built like an absolute tank. There's absolutely no flex on the screen. It feels just like the XPS 15, and the keyboard deck has some flex, but it's very minimal. Their hinge is tuned perfectly, there's no screen wobble, it's a one-hand open, and it also raises the back of the laptop by a couple millimeters for improved airflow. It is, however, a huge fingerprint magnet, but otherwise it's among one of the very best in build quality. They're using a 1080p 60Hz screen with super thin bezels on all four sides. It's a glossy coating, but it does a pretty good job with the anti-reflective coating. The panel quality is virtually identical to the PS63. Mediocre brightness, okay color gamut and color accuracy. It's just an all-around okay looking display. Nothing great, but not terrible. But the colors just pop a little bit more because of that glossy coating. It's not a touchscreen though, it just happens to use a gloss coating. The webcam up top also supports Windows Hello Face Unlock. The PS63 does not have any biometrics. The speakers are downward firing. They're loud and detailed when you point them directly at you, so like when you flip the laptop over, but you do lose some detail by bouncing the sound off the table, and they also lack a dedicated subwoofer. They're good, just not amazing. They're using a full-size keyboard with a number pad on the right, switches are tactile and they have good key travel. There's 3-stage white LED backlighting, but the keycaps have this translucent, almost opaque gold lettering which dims the backlighting by quite a bit. The number pad is also squished to get it to fit, but it's something that the PS63 does not have. I personally do not use a number pad, so I can't really tell you if it's good or bad, but it's an observation that I made. You might have seen this before, but the trackpad also doubles as a secondary display. I think it's a TN or a VA panel, it's definitely not IPS, and Windows recognizes it as a 4K panel. It's not really something that I use on the regular, it's just way too far down and small for me to get much use out of it. There are some use cases for it, but none of them really made me feel like I was missing out on something when switching to a different laptop without a secondary display. The trackpad itself is also quite good. Windows precision drivers, it's smooth, button clicks are weighted nicely. My only complaint is that the tracking isn't quite perfect. It's good, but it's kind of weird and it skips around a bit with fine movements. There's a USB 3 port with a headphone jack on the left, and on the right is your power, HDMI 2.0, a second USB 3, a Type-C port, along with a full-size SD slot. I would like to have seen a third USB 3 port, but I like the inclusion of the full-size SD slot. It's the one thing missing from the PS63. Upgradability on this laptop requires you to rip off the rubber feet on the bottom of the laptop for the hidden screws, same with a lot of their other laptops, but even if you do get it off, only the M.2 drive is replaceable. The RAM is soldered on, it's also running the Intel 9560 Wi-Fi card. I'm not sure if it's replaceable, and the SSD is the Intel 660p. Good performance. Unfortunately, there's no manual fan control or fan profiles that you can set, but the thermals on this thing are actually quite good despite how quiet the fans seem. The CPU will average between 89 to 91 degrees, and the GPU will sit around 82 degrees Celsius. This is with a combined CPU and GPU load. The unit I'm reviewing is running the i5-8565U. It's a 15-watt quad-core CPU, 16 gigs RAM, a 512 gig SSD, and the GTX 1650 non-Max-Q. It's the full GPU. Performance in games is good, same with video editing in DaVinci Resolve. The only thing that I'll mention is that you need to set your expectations right because it's running a lower power CPU, but light to medium titles will run fine on this laptop. There's a 71 watt-hour battery inside that will last me around 9 hours of battery life. It's a full day battery. The charger they supply connects via a barrel plug, which I'm not a big fan of. And you also don't have the option of charging through the Type-C port, which the PS63 also cannot do. Okay, if you're, say, a college student, so you want something that's portable, you want full day battery life, but you also want to do a bit of light gaming or maybe some photo or video editing on the side, but you don't need a full-blown 6-core CPU and an RTX 2080, this will pull full day battery life and with the performance for pretty much everything you might reasonably want to do. Compared to the PS63, the only thing that I haven't mentioned so far is that the PS63 has much better thermals, it'll maintain boost clocks on the CPU and the GPU for much longer, and it pulls about 10 hours of battery life from my own usage. I also like the keyboard more on the PS63, but that's pretty much it. They're both excellent laptops, but if I had to make a recommendation, I would personally go with the PS63 if you're more of a gamer, so you need sustained performance, and the Zenbook if you're more into content creation because of the screen and the SD slot. Okay, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You can leave a comment with any laptops that you would like me to review next. I will see you guys next time.